LeBron James asking for a 1+1 extension and getting turned down by the Lakers is more than just tabloid fodder. It's a real flashpoint that illuminates the shifting priorities in Los Angeles and exposes a thorny crossroads for both the player and the franchise. At 40 years old and entering what could be the final chapters of one of the most storied careers in basketball history, LeBron's request was as much about certainty and control as it was about basketball. The Lakers' refusal, meanwhile, speaks to a new strategic calculus. They're built around Luka Dončić and trying to balance short-term competitiveness with long-term financial flexibility. The collision of those interests has created an awkward, highly publicized standoff. Here's what really matters and what comes next. First, what LeBron likely wanted, a 1+1 deal. That structure gives a veteran an extra year of security while preserving some flexibility for the team. It's a common compromise when star players want to lock in protection, but teams aren't prepared to commit heavily for multiple years. For LeBron, a 1+1 would have ensured he didn't enter his age 41 season as a full free agent, not because he needs the money, but because he wants to manage the end of his career on his terms. He's still producing at a high level, and he understandably wants to avoid a scenario in which his final playing year is negotiated under duress or uncertainty. Now, why the Lakers said no. Los Angeles' acquisition of Luka Dončić fundamentally altered the franchise's timeline. Dončić is the new cornerstone. The roster, cap construction, and long-term planning are being realigned around him. The Lakers are managing a complex cap picture. They're hovering near hard cap thresholds, dealing with LeBron's sizable salary and juggling the desire to add complementary pieces without hamstringing future summers. Committing to LeBron with even a modest extension could complicate their ability to pursue free agents, take on contracts and trades, and create roster configurations that maximize Dončić's window. In short, refusing the extension is less a rebuke of LeBron and more a strategic choice about optionality for the franchise. That leads to the core tension. LeBron wants continuity and perhaps to dictate the final arc of his career. The Lakers want optionality and the ability to pivot around Dončić. Neither position is inherently unreasonable, but both have costs. For LeBron, the cost is friction and possible insecurity about his role and future with the franchise that has become home for the last several seasons. For the Lakers, the cost is potential clubhouse unrest and the PR optics of turning down an all-time great who still contributes meaningfully on the court. Let's consider LeBron's realistic options. If the extension rejection remains in place, he can play out the final year and test free agency next summer as an unrestricted free agent. At that point, he could either re-sign with the Lakers on terms that suit both sides or explore other teams willing to bend the market to fit his age and still high production. A few franchises could conceivably make a competitive offer. Teams with immediate title hopes that value veteran leadership and versatility, or small market contenders that could craft short-term deals to chase a finals run. But the market for a 41-year-old LeBron is limited. He'd likely prefer to remain where he is if the relationship can be repaired. From LA's perspective, there are paths to reconciliation that preserve flexibility while keeping LeBron engaged. They could offer a short-term contract with player and team options structured creatively, incentives tied to minutes, games played, or team success that soften the payroll hit if LeBron's minutes decrease. They can also communicate a clear vision. LeBron remains a vital part of the rotation and leadership group, but the team is building around Dončić's timeline. Transparency matters. How the front office markets this internally and publicly will shape locker room buy-in and fan sentiment. There's also the fallout risk to manage. LeBron's presence carries immense cultural and commercial gravity. A fractured relationship could affect ticket sales, sponsorships, and the locker room vibe. Younger players may be uncertain where they fit in, and veteran teammates could be pulled into awkward positioning. For the Lakers, optics are everything in Los Angeles. Mishandling this could create avoidable noise that distracts from on-court performance. But let's not overstate the doom. LeBron has always been pragmatic about legacy and economics. He knows the value of winning and the dynamics of roster construction. If the Lakers are serious about contending and present a plan that respects his competitive desires, meaningful minutes, a clear role alongside Dončić, and a path to chase rings, he's more likely to sign on. Likewise, the Lakers will likely prefer to resolve this rather than risk a messy split that could deprive them of LeBron's still elite output and mentorship. What should the Lakers do next? First, pick up the phone and negotiate a good faith compromise. Second, design a financial and minutes plan that preserves offseason flexibility in 2026 while assuring LeBron he's valued. That could be a one-year deal with a player option that becomes a formality if both sides are satisfied, or a short-term contract with performance-based escalators. Third, communicate, both to LeBron and to the broader roster. Quiet, confident messaging that frames LeBron as a partner in the Dončić era will help unify the team. For LeBron, the path is clearer than it seems. He should weigh what matters most: control over his final chapter, the chance to compete for more titles, and the ability to leave the game on his terms. If that aligns with staying put in Los Angeles and the Lakers show they're serious about building a winner around Dončić, this is fixable. If not, LeBron has the agency to find another team that offers the competitive window he desires, though the market for a 41-year-old superstar is narrow and complicated. At its heart, this is a story about transitions. The NBA is increasingly ruthless about timelines. Franchises pivot quickly around younger stars, and even all-time greats must be navigated into new roles. LeBron's desire for a 1+1 was reasonable and conservative. The Lakers' refusal was cautious and strategic. Both stances are defensible. The ultimate outcome will depend on whether both parties can find a deal structure that honors LeBron's legacy and the Lakers' long-term plan without forcing a dramatic split. If they do, LA can still chase championships with Dončić and LeBron in tandem. If they don't, we could be watching one of the sport's most consequential and public partings, and the NBA landscape would shift accordingly. LeBron James wanted more clarity on his future this summer, a short, controllable bridge in the form of a 1+1 contract extension, and the Lakers said no. That refusal, according to league sources, left the 40-year-old veteran visibly frustrated and now casts a long shadow over what could be his final full season in Los Angeles. A 1+1 deal would have given LeBron a guaranteed year with an option for another, a structure that makes sense for a player of his age. It provides security while keeping the team flexible. For LeBron, it would have meant avoiding the uncertainty of testing free agency at 41. For the Lakers, it would have been a relatively modest commitment compared with the long, multi-year contracts of the past. Still, Los Angeles declined to offer it, prioritizing roster architecture and long-term planning over giving James that short-term peace of mind. That decision didn't happen in a vacuum. The trade for Luka Dončić in February fundamentally altered the Lakers' roster construction and priorities. Doncic's arrival made the team's strategy pivot toward building around the younger superstar, and that shift inevitably reshuffled LeBron's role from primary engine to complementary, a transition he's adapted to before, but one that inevitably changes how the front office values him going forward. At 40, LeBron is still elite, averaging 24.4 points, 7.8 rebounds, and 8.2 assists last season, but the calculus about whether to bank on another multi-year run around him has changed. There are practical implications to the refusal.